What happens when a lawyer argues with an insurance rep who actually knows the rules? I used to work in the claims department for one of the biggest auto insurance companies in the country. After a few years on the job, I thought I had seen every kind of difficult conversation a person could have. But then came the day I answered the phone and found myself dealing with a lawyer who seemed determined to turn a simple claim into a marathon of headaches for his own client. He introduced himself as the attorney representing a man named Evan, who also happened to be one of my insured customers. I told him I could take the initial accident report from him, no issue, but that I would still need to call Evan afterward to confirm details. Before I even finished speaking, the lawyer cut me off and declared that I was not allowed to contact his client. I explained that until we received an official letter of representation on file, I was obligated and fully permitted to speak directly with the insured. He didn't like hearing that one bit. Still, I went ahead, gathered the accident details, documented everything, and generated a claim number. As I read it to him, I noticed he was dragging the conversation out, asking small, clarifying questions, repeating information I'd already recorded. 10 minutes later, the system refreshed, and there it was, a newly uploaded letter of representation. He had stalled long enough to file it while keeping me on the phone. Now, I really couldn't call the customer without his approval. He sounded pretty pleased with himself. I was not. We moved on to the medical side. He told me his client had some neck and back discomfort and would be visiting a doctor. Totally normal for a minor accident. I explained that his client could absolutely see any doctor he preferred, but we typically contacted the doctor early, so the billing process would run smoothly. Some medical offices require confirmation of coverage or direct communication with us before starting treatment. The lawyer didn't even let me finish before announcing that his client would get whatever treatment he wanted and that we were responsible for paying the entire bill in full. I told him that wasn't how the policy worked. The client only had coverage up to a specific limit, meaning if the treatments cost more than what he had purchased, the rest wouldn't be our responsibility. I also warned him that if the doctor didn't bill us directly, the client would end up paying up front and then waiting on reimbursements. None of this mattered to him. He insisted everything would be covered no matter what. We circled through that conversation for far too long, and eventually I just documented everything he said and moved on to the vehicle damage. He told me the car was leaking fluid and had a damaged windshield, but insisted the client had driven it from the accident scene straight to his office. I recommended towing because driving a leaking car is a great way to turn a minor repair into a major one. Not only was towing covered by his policy, but it could save the client hundreds or thousands down the line. He refused. The client, he said, could continue driving it. Then he demanded that the car be taken to a repair shop of his choosing. Totally allowed, but we still needed to send an adjuster out to the shop to inspect the vehicle and write an estimate. This prevents shops from inflating prices or adding repairs that aren't necessary. It also ensures we only pay for factory parts, which is exactly what the customer agreed to when the policy was written. He refused again. He wouldn't tell me what shop he chose, said I had no right to inspect the vehicle, and once again claimed we would pay the bill in full once everything was finished. At that point, nothing I said mattered. He wasn't listening, and I wasn't going to win the argument. So I documented everything, noted the warnings I gave, and stepped back. Weeks later, I saw the fallout. The lawyer sent in the body shop bill, which was astronomical. The shop had used pricey aftermarket parts that weren't covered by the client's policy. They charged for extended storage time because they kept the vehicle for over a month. We only cover 30 days of rental car expenses, so the customer ended up paying out of pocket for the remaining days. On top of that, because the lawyer insisted on keeping us out of communication with the doctor, the client had to pay some medical costs up front and then wait for reimbursement, something that could have been avoided entirely. The final out-of-pocket total for the client was more than $1,000 for the repair shop alone, plus rental car fees, plus delayed reimbursements from the medical side. He could have avoided nearly all of it if his lawyer hadn't been so focused on trying to assert control over a process he clearly didn't understand.